back to the channel, guys. We're talking movies yet again. Victor unfortunately can't be with us today. Busy guy. But Chase is still here. That's good.
Yes, sir.
We also bring another guest star. Welcome to the show, Joe Mason. Joe's in the show.
What up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Joe, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah, no problem. My name is Joe Mason. I'm a filmmaker based out of Seattle. I've been working in films professionally now for probably a few years on various sets, and I've worked with Chase and Nick. I also have my own short film called Tears, Love, and Death that Nick and Chase were heavily a part of. We shot it last summer, but we've had delays because of COVID and everything with the editing process. But right now we're back on track, and it's coming along really great. I'm excited to show it to the world, and happy to be on this podcast. You know, I'm a guy who loves movies. So life's passion, telling stories, and what better way to do it than discuss it with you two guys?
You are just the man we are looking for.
Beautiful, beautiful. Joe, what movies did you choose for us this week?
Yes.
I chose for you two of my favorite movies I've seen recently. The first one being Nightcrawler, which I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen until just the last few months, and A Ghost Story, which is one of the most strange but also intriguing movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, two very good favorites for college students like us.
hmm Definitely, I don't think A Ghost Story is not for the average consumer, but I encourage everyone to watch it.
Yeah. We'll get into that shortly, but I'll just say, like, I remember thinking very clearly, this movie, my college friends like this movie, so that means I might hate it. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. Which one we would talk first?
It's up to you, Joe. Why don't you choose?
All right, let's go with Nightcrawler first. I'm curious what you guys have to say about it.
Okie
All right,
dokie.
Nick, why don't you give us your little synopsis, plot synopsis?
Let's get the rundown going. Nightcrawler from 2014. The film centers on Lou Bloom, all-around scum of the earth who prides himself on hard work. One night he finds his calling after observing a camera crew filming a car crash rescue. From there, he prowls the night around Los Angeles, filming all the despicable crime occurring in the city and selling it to the highest bidder, i.e. news stations. Sometimes even going to deplorable extremes to be the best in his field.
That's great. That's a great description, Nick.
I love that you just straight up called him scum of the earth. Just said it how it was.
Well,
yeah, he's fucking terrible.
He's a psychopath. He's a freaking psychopath.
See, actually, I kind of want to address that too as we discuss that movie.
Yeah, the big draw with this film. I remember this being quite hyped around the time this came out. I mean, 2014, let's be honest, was a pretty banging year for films.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
On top of being my cinematic awakening when I decided, I want to do movies. The movies are going to be my future. Yeah, you had so many films coming out that year, especially around award season. This one should have been raking in award nominations, but strangely got snubbed in a lot of areas.
Which is criminal, by the way. For Jake Gyllenhaal being snubbed for an Oscar, absolutely criminal.
Pretty freaking criminal. And let's talk Jake Gyllenhaal. He's definitely the main draw of the film. This guy, man, oh man, you ever see a more committed role? Please point him out to me. This guy does wonders in the role.
Yeah.
He's pretty brilliant, right down to the shriveled, bony, physical look he's got going on.
You know, I did some research on that too, and apparently what he did to drop, I think it was over 30 pounds, like 35 exactly. Apparently what Gyllenhaal did was eat nothing but kale salads every day for like 3 months and worked out 8 hours a day to just basically make himself look like that. And the purpose was because his character in a sense was like a coyote, like, preying upon something, and he wanted to physically embody that of being the coyote.
Yeah, scavenger. That is quite the comparison there. This guy really does lurch off everyone else, taking big bites out of whatever they're doing. for as clunky as that sounds, that totally embodies him. He's freaking amazing. He does so many things right in this movie. His diction, his voice patterns, his mannerisms. This
Yeah.
guy is he's just a different person.
Those damn creepy big ass eyes he's got in this movie. Man, they just
And
stare you down.
he just plainly stands around in the most unsettling and ordinary way. It's crazy, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, his cadence when he talks, like especially when he's trying to like convince someone of something, or when he's selling something, is crazy. He's like such a good salesman, but he's a psychopath. So it's like he's well, I don't know if the correct term is psychopath. I think it's closer to sociopath, but
Yeah.
it's his sociopathic tendencies make him like invincible in a discussion. So like, except for the only time where he loses, I think in like a conversation is the beginning when he's talking about getting a job. And then he's talking to he had just cut a bunch of fencing, and he was taking it to this construction site, and was like, "Hey, I can." Yeah. He's like, "I will, I will give you." I'll give you this much stuff, and I'll take this amount of money. And then he wanted more money, and the guy was like, no, blah blah. And then he asked for a job.
Foreman saw right through him.
Yeah, and then
Foreman saw right through him.
And then
I'm not hiring a fucking thief.
Yeah, and he says, "I'm not hiring a fucking thief." And he's like, he like smiles at him because he knew he got fucking caught. So he's like, "All right, I'm just gonna." He knows when he's lost though. So I think that's the part.
Yeah.
That's the part of the movie that's so interesting for me, is that obviously this dude knows when he's lost. So he is going the limits this whole time, not losing. So he's in control of the movie the entire time. And it's terrifying, really.
It's terrifying, but also strangely gratifying. The movie and the script also, they does a pretty amazing job of getting you to kind of root for this evil character in a way, because it really sets him up as he's a man of drive. He sets goals for himself, and he just wants to be the best, even if that means doing some really messed up stuff along the way. So you're kind of pulling for him in this seedy underworld of night crawling videography.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting stuff.
And I would say too, one of the most interesting things that I noticed when I watched this movie the first time was this character has something that you almost never see and usually defies the laws of screenwriting, but it works here, and that's that he has absolutely no arc at all. He starts off the movie as this, sociopath who will do what he needs to get what he wants, no matter the cost, and he ends the movie as a sociopath who will do whatever he needs to get what he wants, no matter the cost. The only difference is, he actually comes out on top, which is interesting to me, because this is not the kind of person you want to have come out on top. Like, clearly, he's not a good person, and I just find that extremely interesting. Like, not only is he a terrible person, everything goes his way. He doesn't change at all, and it's just, but it works, and that's not supposed to work in screenwriting. So I think a lot of that's due to him.
Sure, but also I think what counteracts that is there's plenty of stories with central characters that don't change by the end, but the trade-off for that is the world around them changes. I think you can feel his influence rub off on other people. It's Nina, Rene Rousseau's character, who also does an amazing performance. By the end, she's changed because of Lou's ways. She's almost infected by his presence and by what he stands for in their relationship, their working relationship, and the world they inhabit. So it still works, the non-arc of Lou, because he's influencing the world around him to change, conform to his sensibilities and his ways.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that.
So yeah, speaking of Rene Rousseau, like the rest of the cast should not go unnoticed either. She does a fantastic performance. Riz Ahmed does a great performance. Bill Paxton, God rest his soul, very enjoyable performance.
Man, seeing him in there too, I didn't know he was in this movie, so I was like, oh man, just forget what a good actor he was. So underrated.
taken away way too soon, guy. Hudson from Aliens, Twister, fucking Terminator. No
The
matter
Hatfields
what
and
size the
McCoys
role
and
is.
everything. It's just dude's
Mighty
good.
Joe Young remake even. Yeah, it's so great.
Also, speaking of Renee Russo's character, can we just say how she fucking predicted 2020 in that movie in the newsroom?
How
When
so?
after he fails, after Gyllenhaal's character Bloom forgets to, or fails, I should say, to get her the footage she wants, I believe, of the plane crash. And he's like, I have the stabbing in Corona, though. And then she goes off the rails and says, I don't give a goddamn about fucking Corona. And I was like, holy shit, this movie predicted the future.
Well, in a way, maybe.
Just a little bit.
Sure, but if we're comparing it to real life, I think there's a really great commentary going on here.
Journalism.
Journalism, yeah, because I feel them as like journalism. They're trying to they're telling honest news, but it still feels manufactured, much like any Hollywood movie. Because there's that pivotal scene going into the third act where he presents the footage of the home invasion, and they air it on the news, and you just see the news story play out in real time as Rene Russo and all the studio team are directing the anchors to say what needs to be said so the story can punch for the viewers and that kind of stuff. By that point, my heart was kind of racing. It was so gritty and really ominous sounding.
Oh yeah, the last 25 minutes of this movie gave me an anxiety attack.
The last 30 minutes, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
last 30 minutes are just incredible, the way it ramps up the tension.
I didn't want to blink because it was so intense.
There's a good commentary going on that the news, for all of its honest journalism they're trying to practice, there's still that tinge of manufacturism just so that they can get a rise out of the viewer and really sell the attention of the story.
Yeah, I was during the scene where they're directing the anchors. I kind of was like I was a little stressed because I was like, how the fuck are these anchors able to talk when someone's screaming in their ear and like be able to like process everything that they're saying? Like that's bizarre to me. Is that out of everything that happened, that was the weirdest part for me. I was like, how the fuck are these guys able to talk?
Training.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Training.
That's how they do it, man. I've been inside a newsroom before. That's exactly how they do it.
Yeah. Also, even the anchors give great performances. Those guys and those two alone in that scene did a great job. And also, props to the guy who casted the cops in this movie. These are some of the most hard-ass cops I've seen in a film ever.
Are you talking about
They
the
did a
two
really good
detectives?
job. Not the detectives, just the beat cops.
Or like telling them to get the
Detective-
fuck out of the
crime
way.
scenes in this movie. Yeah,
Oh,
100
okay.
feet back across the line.
I mean, it was a pretty
Yeah.
good depiction. You know, I've never heard of
Yeah.
stringers before I saw this movie. So, but now that, like, after I see it, it makes sense. Like, because I have remembered watching news reports, like, not now, because not many people still watch news, but, you know, and they show video on the screen. And I was like, I always wondered, I just thought they sent a newsroom, but it almost makes me wonder, like, now next time I drive by, like, a big action scene or something, to keep an eye out for that stringer.
I remember clearly I was talking with Ryan about this at the time this movie came. We still joke about this every so often, but the second I watched this movie, I wanted to go out and do this shit. Just like, let's go Nightcrawler. Just get the cameras. Wait till 2
You know
a.m.
what,
in
Nick?
Seattle.
If there's someone who I can picture being actually sneaky enough to do it and not get pushed away by cops, it probably would be you.
Maybe I need someone bigger to be a decoy. Then I could just slip past everybody. And also, God, this movie looks great.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the movies that show off Los Angeles culture and just the nightlife of LA, just this movie is top 5. It looks amazing.
Yeah, you know, I've never been to LA before, but there's so many movies that depict it, and I swear, it never seems like any of them are really that accurate, or even there's never consistency. Like, but this movie showed us the grittiness of LA, the downbeat neighborhoods. Gyllenhaal even mentions that a few times in the movie, and it just really shows you how the inner city works, and like it would make sense too, like how you can get away with being a stringer, because it kind of looks like a lot of the city's a mess, to be honest. You know, the fact that newsroom is willing to show this footage of dead bodies and stuff on air, it just makes me think, I'm like, is this what the culture of LA is really like? But
Well,
yeah,
I think the newsroom aspect of that is that they that those were like the lowest rated. That was like the lowest rated news
yeah, they
channel.
were like the
Yes.
graveyard shift.
Yeah. And so I think they're like, fuck it, anything that gets people watching. And then they're by the end of it, because of Lou, because of the fucked up things he did, they were like thriving. And so it's like it's interesting to see. It kind of gives into perspective this whole okay, if something benefited us and helped us, but it was by doing something terrible, was it worth it type thing, you know what I mean? And most of the time it's no, but like in other cases that using this example, or not necessarily Nightcrawler as an example, but using that whole terribleness led into like blissfulness or something. Most of the time it's no, but you know, sometimes it's harder to think about, you know? And so I think that gives it a nice little perspective of you know, yeah.
Sure. But getting back to the setting real quick, the reason why it's so effective, the location feels like a character itself, and it's really immersive. This is one of the few LA shot movies that I actually feel like this is a tangible place I could go and I could feel like I'm there watching the screen. Something as simple as seeing Gyllenhaal sit by a tree on Venice Beach, or just the opening title sequence showing the landmarks of Los Angeles. You'd see the Capitol Records building, the US Bank Tower, or the Hollywood sign in the distance. You feel like you're there, and it's really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was I can't remember the director's name, but I believe this was his feature film debut.
Dan Gilroy, yeah.
Down Gilroy? Yeah, so
Dan Gilroy.
Gilroy.
Going back, actually, also, now that I mentioned the grit factor, I think this movie has the grit level of a lot of 70s urban crime thrillers. You're just locked into the underworld of this whole side of Los Angeles, and it's so mean and hard-edged, hard-boiled, down and dirty. It's fantastic viewing. This is why I love a lot of the 70s movies for that factor, and this movie captures that really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even something like how they handle action movies. It's not an action movie, but they have action. They have dedicated sequences where action happens.
Yeah, like the car
That's what I
chase
like
is
to say.
fucking sweet.
The final car chase
Oh,
is
that's one of the best I've
nerve-wracking.
ever seen done,
It's
man.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shootout before that, even parts when Blue is filming, they have the pace of most action scenes, or they have the feel and the pace of such sequences.
Yeah.
Because he's running around, he's getting a whole bunch of different shots. The camera never stops rolling, and he's just moving through these houses. The best part of that is definitely when he spots the home invasion in the hills, and he's just going through the house. You're cutting back and forth between Lou moving through the house and his buddy Rick watching out for cops or any other strangers walking by.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tense. You just hoping he doesn't get caught and gets all what he needs. It's crazy how that happens like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I totally agree with all that too. And I think the thing that really stood out to me is that the camera is almost like, in a way, Bloom's eyes in the movie. Like, that's his viewpoint.
Yes.
So whenever we see it, like, I remember there's a specific scene where he's talking with Rene Russo's character in the newsroom after dropping off a tape. And he says, I've been working on framing, and, goes into this big, long description. That basically, to me, almost translated to, this is how he sees the world. So, like, when you see that screen, all that stuff, that's what he thinks is normal. Like, he thinks it's fine. And he says, oh, this is all great. I'm going to exploit it. And it's, I think that was an interesting way. Because, like, we all know, like, in slasher movies, the, cliche of the POV from the killer.
The POV
But this way, it's done, like, you really get to see, like, it almost gives you a look inside his mind. But it's done in such a subtle way. You kind of actually got to pay attention to pick up on it. But to me, that's just great filmmaking and great directing and great acting on Gyllenhaal's part, because you can tell that camera is a part of him.
Absolutely. And you definitely see it in his performance, just the joy and the exuberance he gets from getting the right frame.
It almost looks like he kind of gets off on it a bit.
A bit, yeah. When he the part where he films the motorcycle accident
and moves the
and he
body.
moves the body in
Yeah.
front of the car, you could just see the excitement on him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what he wants. This is exactly what he wants. And how manic he gets rushing through a scene. Again, the aforementioned home invasion scene.
Mhm.
He's just always on the move, never stops.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And that's kind of a good and almost a fairly accurate look at the addiction of using the camera. Just what can I do with it? Just go run here and see what I can do with this
Yeah,
camera, with this
exactly.
device.
Yeah, it's a fucking shame that Jake Gyllenhaal hasn't been nominated for anything since Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, this movie really should have gotten him the award.
I mean, he got nominated for a Golden Globe for this, but he didn't win. And also all the other shit that he's done. I mean, like
Prisoners, Enemy,
Prisoners,
Southpaw.
exactly.
Yeah.
None of those. I mean, Prisoners and Enemy alone. It's just like that's that one. Both of those were crazy. This was personally, I think this is Jake Gyllenhaal's best performance. But
Definitely.
Still, it's fucking insane that he hasn't. That he still hasn't been nominated for anything since then.
You know why? Because I think it's just the Academy likes to go with the more mainstream person, the bigger name, because it draws in more viewers. And Jake Gyllenhaal's big, but I would still consider he's very underrated by a lot of audience people. So I feel like that's a reason. Because think about Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor, but he's definitely not mainstream. Like, he's extremely unorthodox. But but he's amazing, and it took him, oh man, how long has he been acting now? 3 decades? He should have had an Oscar twice already. Finally got one, and I think the only reason he even got it was, yes, he deserved it, but because it was attached to Joker. And that's a mainstream name. So I think that's personally why Gyllenhaal has yet to be nominated or receive one.
Gyllenhaal's just one of those names, one who has yet to win an award. We've seen it before. DiCaprio has been in that club for a long time. Gary Oldman just got out of that club lately, and there's still a bunch more actors that deserve awards but haven't gotten them yet.
No, I think I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Brad Pitt got his first one last year.
Second one.
Yeah.
It's a second one.
Well,
yeah, first one for acting.
Yes, exactly. So that's. I mean, what was the other one for? Was it for directing?
I think it was for producing, because Brad Pitt's never directed.
Oh, so he was what? It was probably for what? Producing.
I think it was 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, that's right. He was in that, and he was the only the only good white person in that fucking movie.
Pretty much, yeah.
Relatively good.
Mostly, unless you count Benedict Cumberbatch, who was the least abusive slave owner.
Yeah, exactly. It's still fucking slave owner.
I haven't watched that movie since it came out. It's a good movie, but it's hard to watch.
Yeah, it's hard to watch, and also it's just those award movies. They're almost good for one purpose: catching up on the Oscars show, and then you never touch them again.
Well, I think 12 Years a Slave is really very is a very necessary movie for everyone to watch, especially
especially in this climate right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't necessarily say that it's for the Oscars. I would go more of saying that it was done at the right time, and I think ever since 12 Years a Slave, the Oscars have been like last year with maybe not, was it last year? Did Green Book win last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So for some fucking reason, Green Book won Best Picture, which it absolutely should not have. They should have given the Oscar to Black Klansman.
La La Land.
La La Land was the year before that.
I think it was the same year. Wasn't it?
Nope.
No, La La Land
came out 2 years after La La Land.
Was the year with Moonlight.
That's
right.
Moonlight
absolutely should have won that. And that was Moonlight was very much deserving, because Moonlight is one of the most emotionally powerful movies that I have ever seen.
I always tell people, if you really want to know and experience just not only being a man of color, but being someone who struggles with homosexuality, because someone like us, we don't really understand, but we sympathize.
Yeah, we're straight white men. We have no idea.
Yeah. It shows us a whole new world,
exactly.
And it's hard to watch too. Same thing, because it's you don't want to accept this is real, but it is real. But it's one of those movies that I think, especially in the political climate, everything we have today, I think it was extremely important to have because the world's never going to move forward if people just don't watch the hard truth.
Yeah.
So movies like that definitely need to be made more often.
Yeah, and then also
Of course.
I think that's a good loop around for Nightcrawler too, which is like people don't want to admit the hard truth, or they don't want to accept it. But looking at news stations too, news stations do purposefully show fucked up shit so
Yeah.
that people will watch them, regardless of who it fucks over.
Yeah.
They will do that. Not every single one, but there is nuisance out there that are like, oh, this is controversial. This is going to get people talking, so let's show it, even though it might not be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the modern day
Or-
version is
and
TMZ.
Yeah, exactly. TMZ or fucking Fox News or something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I'd say Nightcrawler, I've seen a few movies on journalism reporting. Nightcrawler is by far the best commentary I've ever seen done on the, like what I said earlier, the coyote nature of journalism and how it will expose the truth through its own personal gain. And morality
Yeah.
is always out the window. And I think that shows
Yeah.
the kind of world we're in today, where Nightcrawler shows people don't care how fucked up something is. If it brings in attention and it's something to talk about, they'll do it. And they don't care what it exposes or anything. And I think that
Yeah.
shows because today we are always so flooded by so much news. You never know what's real and what's not half the time now because it's
Yeah,
so much.
exactly.
And we get a chance to see just how far these people go to actually do it. And I think Nightcrawler just did it in the most genius way. You know, Lewis is essentially journalism if it was a human being.
Exactly. Doing what it takes, regardless of who it fucks over in the end, to get people talking, get people paying attention to them. You know,
Yeah, I wish
But it's
certainly
coming out
Rick
on top.
It certainly does paint a very stark picture and a very eye-opening picture in some regard to that. So yeah, it does its job very well. It works much differently than a typical journalism procedural would work. For instance, All the President's Men or Spotlights. It's just a different flavor, but it works
Yeah.
equally as well. The flip side of the coin.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those movies where I don't think anyone can sit and be like, oh, I didn't really like it. I
No.
think it's one of those things where everyone's like, no, it's fucking fantastic. And
Yeah,
it's,
man, like
it's
This film is impossible to hate.
Yeah,
for all
it
its-
is.
you know,
everyone I've talked to that's watched this movie, they loved it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's super, super good.
I still remember when I posted a picture of the title card on my Instagram story, and I was like, first time watching. I swear, at least 18 people sent it back to me, all saying, "What the fuck took you so long to see this?" To those people, I will tell you, I just simply fucked up, and I regret not seeing it in 2014. Because, man, it's great. It's the music,
Also-
the acting, cinematography, writing, everything.
That too. That also too. Yeah, James Newton Howard. He too is really underrated in his field. He's a pretty damn good composer. In every movie he does, he makes a really engaging score. and
Yeah.
this is one of
Yeah,
his
the
best.
score
I
was
think-
really good.
I think for me, the favorite part of the score is when Lewis is doing something terrible, like moving the body to get a good shot. Anyone normal person would see as that's fucked up, but the music plays off like it's victorious for him. Like, yes,
Exactly.
man, like he's moving forward, and it's just like makes you feel a little dirty for watching along with it. But
Yeah. There's also the montage where it shows his rising success as a Nightcrawler, and it's
Mhm.
very intense, fast paced, some kind of rock sounding sound.
Yeah.
Some kind of rock sound, and it's really intense.
yeah, it's funny because it's that scene almost in a way, at least the way I interpreted it was, it just shows how much of a parasite Stringers are. Because you see all the
Mhm.
files he's going through, it almost spreads,
Mm-hmm.
like a disease or something, which is kind of unsettling, really.
It's also what the music does really. It does a good job of showing the opposite reaction to what's on screen. It works again. It's yin and yang with the visuals. The visuals could show something really dark and disturbing, but the music plays up the victorious nature of the situation. On the flip side, the movie can show something very, I guess, in a way, uplifting. I mean, for instance, like the rise of Lou's success. He's starting to get a lot of he's selling a lot of clips and he's starting to build a portfolio for himself. But the music is reflecting it really darkly, because he's filming a lot of crime, a lot of people dying, a lot of people getting injured, and given his nature already, he's probably doing things to manipulate it as such. So it's just a descent into his darker side, his already dark side.
I don't think I have anything else to say about this.
I definitely have some stuff else to
They're
say.
nodding.
Yeah, go.
They're
for it.
nodding. I just can't see them.
Yeah, we're all.
Yeah, Nick, good point.
Yeah,
there.
that's a good point.
Cool
Yeah,
story, bro.
actually, there is something I've been dying to discuss.
Yeah.
Why the hell didn't Rick quit after day one? Like, how
Yeah.
desperate? I know he was desperate, man, but if
That's
my
it,
boss
he's-
did that, like day one, almost getting me killed and, yelling at me, I'd be like, I think I'm going to find another job because he's only making $30 a night.
Well, it's like I said, he's desperate. He's fresh out of high school. He doesn't have direction in his life. He's looking for purpose.
I guess,
also-
man, but...
But Riz Ahmed, he really does a great job.
Oh,
there.
this is probably my favorite movie I've ever seen him in.
He's very. You just want to throw this guy a bone.
I felt so bad for him.
He's getting thrown so much shit throughout the movie, and then when he finally works up some balls to talk Lou down, he freaking gets killed.
Yeah, it literally backfired.
Yeah, it backfired. Bang bang.
I was waiting for you guys to catch on to that.
I'm quick like that. Quick
But,
draw McCann. They don't actually call me that, but hey.
Yeah.
It's just there's one more thing I need to discuss myself. I have this theory I play with every so often. This could almost be a modern vampire movie, because Lou is a creature of the night. He preys at night, and he infects others around him. In which case, Nina. He warps Nina to start thinking like him. It basically turns him into a bride. And Nina sounds a lot like Mina, who was in the original Dracula book. Lou is a vampire. Swap the camera for a pair of fangs, and he's still sucking things dry.
You know what's interesting too about that comparison, Nick? The original Dracula book was written in like the style of journalism.
Exactly. Yeah. The narrative was all letters to and from characters.
Yeah, so that's actually a really. I never thought about that, but that's a good analogy, man.
I'm really not one to do film theory or make speculation, but it's a thought that I just thought about one day and just kind of humored me for a while. And every time I think about it, with every new watch, I find new details to support such a theory. So it's kind of my own little corner of my thoughts that I play around with, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I like doing that stuff too.
I like it.
So, yeah.
I like it.
Overall thoughts
I'll
on.
I'll take it.
What's your guys' overall thoughts on the movie then? Overall.
Okay, it sounds like
rating?
we're gonna go to ratings.
Yeah.
Why don't you
let's
start us off, Nick?
I'll start it off. The whole time I've watched this movie, in the 6 years it's been released, it's been sitting at a 4.5, but I think I'll just go a full 5. I can't find much flaw in this movie. It's perfect score, A+, 100%. It's just a great all-around thriller, interesting social commentary. It's a great story, feels wholly original in how it portrays a different side of journalism. It's led on with a very engaging, very sociopathic, but also kind of empathetic lead character that infects the world around him, and it's reflected amazingly through the filmmaking. There it is.
There you go. I like it. Well, I guess I'll go. I'm gonna give this a
Think long and think hard.
No, I'm thinking. I'm juggling between 4 and 4.5. But
Okay.
I think I'm gonna give it 4 Oscar snubs out of 5. And I think there's nothing, literally nothing wrong with this movie I can think of. I love every bit of it, and I think the I think the performance alone from Jake Gyllenhaal is enough to sell someone on this movie. And I think also the fact that, you know, he's doing these crazy ass stuff is it's really exciting to watch. Yeah, I'd give it a 4 Oscar snubs out of 5.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
For me, you know, these kind of movies are right up my alley. So I really had to think hard. Because every time I watch a movie, I always try to, you know, pick every aspect. And most of the time, I can find something wrong. But you know, I thought long and hard about this movie, and I just couldn't find anything. You know, everything works with it. It all goes together. Every last aspect. You know, the performance is amazing. The writing is outstanding. The camera work is outstanding. The music is great. The sound mixing is all great. So, you know, I'd say I give it a solid 5 dead Ricks out of 5 dead Ricks.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's pretty.
Oh, jeez,
think-
Rick, you got shot, man.
Jeez, Rick, is he dead? 40, he's dead already.
40.
Yeah.
40.
When Nina goes, "You filmed your dead partner," he's like, "I did." She's like, "It's so beautiful."
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fully changed at that point.
She broke bad.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I think everyone, like I said, feels the same way. They're just like, this is fucking great. Like, this is a great movie. It's done super well. So
There were an audience singing its praises when no one else would back in the day, and there's still people screaming to the heavens how amazing this film is.
yeah,
Cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's just a great watch whenever I boot it up. Just something to really plant yourself and get immersed in for a couple hours.
Yeah, and I've been waiting to finally have an in-depth discussion with someone about it too, where I didn't have to just constantly type like over text. So this was like a big
I'm
release,
glad.
finally getting to, you know, say it all.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm real glad. With that said, let's move on to our next movie. Ghost Story.
go.
One ghost story. One ghost story. There could be another ghost story. There could be multiple ghost stories, but we just got the one.
In fact, there is a side. There is a little side ghost.
Yeah,
Maybe
There is. There is a little side ghost.
one of the most depressing things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's recap it here. So, a ghost story. After his untimely death, a man resurrects as a Charlie Brown Halloween ghost and returns to his dwelling. He sits lonely in death, observing the mourning of his former wife and all that happens in the place he once called home.
Beautiful. Short and sweet.
That's pretty much that is pretty much it, because there is no real plot to it. I mean, there is a plot, there is a goal, but it feels kind of secondary.
It's simple
It's
storytelling at its best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's your typical art house experimental type deal that you're gonna say what the hell probably at least 20 times throughout the film.
Yeah, I probably had that during a 6-minute scene of someone eating a pecan pie.
Okay, let's talk about that right now.
I'm sorry.
Fucking hell.
I understand. I have a lot to talk about this movie. I did not enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I'll just start off by saying that.
Yeah.
But I understand. I understand what they're going for. I absolutely understand what the whole team and fucking David Lowery. I understand what he was going for. I really do. He wanted to show the true face of depression and mourning and loss, and something like that would actually happen. It would be mundane. It wouldn't be exciting. It would be slow and sad and depressing. But a better way of doing it. I feel like this movie,
Do you know how hard I had to restrain laughter during that part?
I skipped. I skipped through it. I'm not even gonna fucking lie. I skipped through it.
Wow. Okay,
You know what?
dude.
I sat and was watching a 3-minute. I was like, okay, what the? I'm not in this anymore. I'm like, I'm watching this lady eat pie, and I'm like, okay, I skipped ahead, and I'm like, 3 minutes of this shit before she throws up. Like, come on. I was like, I get, I absolutely. I mean, and I get it. It's the sad, depressive eating state. I've been there.
That is the most aggressive eating
I
I've ever seen in any film.
I get it. I really get it. And then I just think that I feel like this movie could have been 15 minutes long, and we would have gotten
Probably,
the
yeah.
same out of it. You know?
You know, honestly, I think this answers the whole debate of Rooney Mara's hot, but is she hot enough to sit through an entire giant take of her eating a whole pie?
You know what? I sat through that whole scene of her eating the pie, so yes.
So did I, but I was really trying not to laugh.
Well,
so
this
hard.
was me as the scene
How
was
much-
going on. I was like, okay, this is a pretty good depiction of grief, man. And I was like, yeah, eating the pie. I expect to go on for 30 seconds, gets to 1 minute. I'm like, okay, you know, yeah, she's got to still eat it. Gets to 3 minutes. I was like, okay, you know, I guess it's about to end here. You know, she's obviously sad. This is getting me. 5 minutes in, I'm like, holy fucking shit. How long are they going to last on this pie?
Yeah.
6.5 minutes
fuck
in,
level?
finally. She finally goes to what I believe it was go throw up the pie. That's what Nick said. And I was like, holy. The movie, I have to admit, because I love the movie, but it did almost lose me there because I don't get the decision to sit on that for 6 minutes. Because the difference is people who saw this in theater, on Netflix, you could just see the time code. How long is this thing going to go by on? Imagine you're sitting in your theater. You are probably just pulling your hair going, how fucking long is she going to eat this pie?
Well, so
And then,
see, I feel like I disagree with that because I feel like if I was in a theater, I would be 100% into this. Like if this was a you know, I'm in a theater, especially with the 4x4 or 4x3 aspect ratio, in a completely black room on a giant screen with nothing around you, you can't see anything, I would be 100% into it. But the fact that I wasn't in that type of environment, I couldn't.
I agree with you. Yeah,
I couldn't get into it. I mean, I watched it in my living room where I have like I have good sound, I have a good TV and everything. But I couldn't do it. I was like, oh my god, I can't fucking do this. And then
this movie was okay for my taste. This movie was, I understood it up until a point, and then the pie scene was just the beginning. I got back into it after that, but then after a point, I was completely gone.
Yeah,
the movie started asking a lot of high concept questions. They were clearly outside the budget range, and they were getting really experimental.
Yeah, this movie did not have a big budget. I believe it was only $100,000.
Yeah, $100,000. But
why do you think
so much money? Because there's nothing to. They don't need the money because nothing is going on.
Well, I think
why do you think
it was purposely done like that though? Like, because for me, this movie there was super little dialogue in this movie. But I thought it worked because it's at the end of the day, movies are a visual art form. Like dialogue, a movie can really. I mean, Chase, you, me, and Nick all know this because we did it. But a movie can go without dialogue, and it's a visual storytelling. And for me, even though yes, the movie can get boring at times, and the pie scene definitely went on too long, I still felt invested because I'm watching Casey Affleck with a fucking bed sheet over him, and I'm invested because I still know what's going through this ghost's mind, and I understand it. Yeah, so I disagree with you guys a bit, but I also totally understand. This is a very art house movie, and it's not for everyone. You have to really be in the right mindset.
Yeah, I definitely like. I'm talking shit about it, but I'm poking at it. But I really I really enjoyed this, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, because everyone talks like this is such a fantastic movie, and it's very good. Like there's no denying that it's very good, but this is not a average consumer movie. This is not one of those like, oh yeah, we'll just play it at Regal fucking Northgate. Like that's not it's not going to be one of those.
They would
movies.
lose ticket sales.
Yeah, it's gonna.
This is definitely a Sif Uptown showing.
Sif Uptown or the Egyptian or something like that. Like it's not a movie where you can just sit and like. It also isn't one of those things where you can like, oh, I'm just going to throw it on in the background and do other stuff. It's like
you have to be fully invested to be able to follow this movie.
I think to get the full effect of the movie, you have to be 100% like invested in it. And I think the fact that I think I think it's good that the movie's only an hour and a half long. I think it's 90 minutes.
Oh, thank God.
But still, it's like this is a movie that could have been made in 15 minutes. And
Yeah,
but
I totally agree with that.
I think what I love about this is that you're depicting I think this is one of the best depictions of a ghost that in a movie that I've seen ever. Because at least how I think of ghosts is that they're just there. You know, they're there, they're having to live in this world without without doing anything. And the fact that he was there, there's a scene where he's going through the life of this house after his wife leaves. His wife moves out, and then a single mom moves in, and then he haunts them and makes them move the fuck out. I thought that,
Yeah.
but and then the and then the party people move in, but and
Oh god, that fucking
it turns
monologue.
into
God. That monologue. Okay, that's another thing. That's when I really got
Yeah, me
lost.
too.
That's the most dialogue in the whole movie too, is that scene.
and
I was also gonna say, okay, there's very little dialogue in this movie, and 90% of it is mumbling. Is this what they call that mumblecore type deal? Because I don't like it when dramas like this, they just mumble to make it sound more
Yeah,
real.
but with a movie
But
with
at the
Casey Affleck, you kind of gotta expect that.
yeah,
That's his whole acting
doesn't-
style.
he doesn't mumble a whole lot, even.
well, but the thing
He
is,
doesn't mumble a whole lot.
he does
in
it a lot.
Yeah. Have you seen
in
Manchester
the-
by the Sea, man?
Yeah,
That's again dramas like this. People just mumble their lines. Fine for the quote unquote realism of the situation, but also I can't hear you. Speak up, please.
But I think for me, that's the genius of this movie, is you don't need to hear them to follow what's going on.
exactly. Especially the ghost. You can, and the thing that
Well, of course,
is
not a ghost.
the thing that's blowing my mind about this is you can feel this emotion from a fucking sheet with eyes cut out
Yeah.
of it. You can feel
Exactly.
emotion. Also, I just want to give props to the costume design for this, because this costume of the ghost is fucking amazing. It's
Oh my God.
it's so simple, but
Yeah, it only cost him $2.
it's so simple, but it's done in a way that it's elegant still, and it still feels kind of haunting.
I will give it that the fabric did have a nice texture to it. On
Actually,
film.
going back off of both of you guys too, you both just mentioned something that I wanted to talk about. Chase, you mentioned how the ghost, you could see his emotions. You never see that in movies with ghosts. It's always, they're these terrible things, they'll curse you.
Exactly.
We get to see, no, in the afterlife, he still has to go on seeing, and I like how we actually get a reason why a ghost would throw dishes around in a house. He's upset, like he misses his girlfriend.
He misses
His wife.
Yeah.
his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's going through life and now he's just questioning everything. And his sole purpose for that house now is just to try and get that little note she left him. And going off of the cloth too, that cloth gets dirty as the movie goes on, just as
I know,
you can see how the ghost,
too.
he's affected by all this. Like, yes, no one can see him, but he is still affected by what's going on around him.
Yeah. I love the fact that I do love the fact that the sheet is the thing that they put over the body. I thought that was super, super cool. And
That was clever.
I love the fact that I wasn't a fan. I think this movie has a tendency to linger on shots for too long. For me,
I agree with that.
Tell me about it.
I would say, but the shot of where I don't think they have names, but M is the wife. The wife leaves, and she walks down the hallway, and it's like 30 seconds to a minute of just holding on his body, and you get this it's kind of eerie a little bit.
A bit eerie, but also that same effect of, okay, when's the editor gonna come in here?
Exactly, and that is the thing I think that took me out of it, is that I'm like, okay, when's the cut gonna happen, or when is something gonna happen? Because I think the shot was like maybe a quarter shorter. I think it would have been better for me. For me, it's like, this isn't my fucking movie, so but I think that I love the fact that he gets up and then that's his new body. Is that his body is in this sheet. And I love when he's walking around the hospital and he stands in front of the man in the wheelchair, and you're not sure if the man can see him or not. And the same thing happens with the little boy as well. You're not sure if he can
watch. That wasn't Ben Affleck under the bedsheet the whole time.
Yeah, or fucking Casey Affleck, but yeah.
No, he didn't say what. Why'd you say that name? So I don't think it was Ben Affleck.
Casey Affleck. I got confused.
You know what?
And Affleck. What?
What that?
Ben might have been the stunt double. You never know.
You know what that hospital scene kind of reminded me of a bit, because he refuses to stay there and he refuses to walk towards the light. Literally, kind of reminded me of Cartman from South Park. How he always just like exits the room and goes like, "Screw you guys, I'm going home." Yeah, I just got that whole vibe. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I do like how they actually literally showed him choosing to not go towards the light too.
Yeah,
that was neat.
Yeah,
there are some neat concepts in here. If there are some neat concepts going on for sure that I do dig.
Yeah, I think the ghost suicide scene was a little interesting. Where he jumps off the top of the ghost jumps off the top of the iteration of this.
You could call it the ghost time travel scene.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes through time.
That was so weird. Now we're in the fucking colonial times.
It was fucking cool. Like
I think I actually that scene in the scene after till the end of the credits, I think that point is what really got me. Like, I figured out what the movie's main message was, and I think it's the meaning of life. Because if you think about it, we get to see that house. What's been there all through these years? Oh, a girl was killed. People who live there don't fucking know. Oh, this guy was here. Those people don't know. And you just get to see the cycles, the meaning of life. It's like you don't even know where you're sitting right now. Something probably might have happened. Like a dinosaur might have took a shit where you're sitting right now. So it's just it's this crazy thing that really makes you think, and it's done so simply. But it kind of made me feel a little emotional for it too. Granted, I wasn't 100% sober the first time I saw this, so I even experienced it a little bit more. And
I wish I was hammered watching this.
It's just great.
I do. There's so much that I love about this movie. There's a lot that I just adore about it. I think when I first finished it, I was like, I'm giving this movie a 3, and I'm just like, I don't ever want to watch it again. And then I thought about it more, and I was like, I already want to sit and watch it again. And the more that
I think technically is
the more we talk about it, the more I want to dive deeper into it. And it's as we're talking about it, my rating is getting higher, I think, because there's just so much. It's so I do think the editing aspect of it is the major drawback for me. I don't mind the lack of dialogue, but the editing is is the only thing that's keeping me from giving this as highest praise as I can.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if this movie had an editor in it, but really, it didn't. It was the director that edited this movie. So.
I mean, this is a straight up independent film. There's nothing Hollywood about it.
It's very experimental.
Yeah,
under
speaking of the
under $500,000. This is under $250,000. This is insane.
Yeah. For people listening who don't really know, $100,000 is not a lot for a feature film at all.
No.
What? Yeah.
Not even. It's not a lot for
any movie.
It's not a lot for anything, honestly. $100,000 for us seems like a lot, but you couldn't even buy a house with that.
There's literally cameras that cost that much.
Yeah, a camera setup, $100,000 right there. I'm thinking what happened is that majority of this movie went into Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck. And catering and shit. It has to, because I can't.
Because they're only
then they weren't around very well.
I think there's a total of 4 total locations in this whole movie, but 90% of the time it's at the house.
It's at the house, and then they film in the kind of the prairie area, but it's obvious. Like I don't know. I mean, I dove into it just because I can think logically as a filmmaker. Like, okay, so this hill that he has to walk by is right by these trees and this grasslands that are also where the colonials could be coming in, or not the colonials, but like the fucking Little House on the Prairie people.
The wild,
You know,
the Wild West,
Yeah.
because they get killed by Indians.
Yeah.
At a point.
And so like it's very obvious that the locations were like, I don't know where they filmed this, but it was very obvious that it was in the same like spot for the most part. But like this is done in a way that it's so minimal, but it just goes to show that like if you have an idea, and even if it's some weird fucking idea like a dude wearing a sheet as a ghost and walking around, and as long as you execute it right and you really like get the good performances in, you take time to develop it, like this movie, all things considered, is really fucking good for being only $100,000. And like regardless, this could be $1 million movie, multi-million-dollar movie, and this would be a fantastic movie.
Well,
I think the higher the budget, I think it probably dwindle.
With such a low budget, why do you think they have 2-minute long shots of someone taking out their garbage?
Exactly.
Well, I'd say it this way: the best filmmakers can do the most with the least. And I've never seen a single other of David Lowery's projects, but this was still very impressive.
Yeah, David Lowery's been keeping busy. He did Robert Redford's final leading role, Old Man and the Gun, and he also did Pete's Dragon for Disney, which I said in the last episode, one of my favorite of the live action Disney adaptations. It's not too bad, good family fun. So yeah, he's coming up in the world, and he's doing the Green Knight again for A24.
I'll take
if it ever comes out.
If it ever comes out. But yeah, he's coming up. I don't doubt his talent as a director. I was going to say, the technical side interests me more on this movie than probably everything else, because they're bold to use the 4:3 aspect ratio. It very much has that home movie quality. The grain is just right, and the intimate nature of the quote-unquote, I'll just say the situation. It's not a plot or a story, just the situation. It does call
I think I will say this. I think he greatly benefited, because I don't think this movie I wouldn't have loved this movie as much if it didn't. But he greatly benefited from having Casey Affleck play the ghost, because Casey Affleck is one of those actors where he is so good at the subtle performance, and for a role like that, I don't think you could get away with like a Joaquin Phoenix or someone more eccentric. You need someone who can do subtlety, and subtlety as an actor. Yeah, it is one of the hardest things to pull off, especially when your face is not seen for 80% of the movie. So I think he benefited greatly from that.
I will admit, some shots in the movie, I think of Halloween when he's under the bedsheet about ready to kill that girl. It's like, it's Michael.
He did get up the exact same way that Michael did at the end of the original Halloween. How he's flat on the ground, but he still manages to raise his entire torso up. Looked just like
he's like a fucking robot. He just and it's like really quick too. It's not like slow. It's like this guy shoots up.
Yeah, like
that too, but just the simplicity of the imagery. So it's that one scene where he kills one of the babysitters. He has a bedsheet over his head because his boyfriend played a prank on her. Yeah, it's just that whole idea of the simplistic imagery being retooled for its own purpose.
Well, I think a thing about that too is something you notice as years go by, especially with big Hollywood movies. They try so hard to be complicated, and it ends up ruining the movie. Like, man, there's just so many movies I've seen that were so confusing, and you're just like, this would have been so much better if you didn't intentionally try to be a genius, if that makes any sense. And a simple story can be done so good. Yeah, so I'm glad. I was a little worried that this movie might have been complicated when I first started it. So I was happy they didn't go that route.
Yeah, it's not complicated, but it asks a lot of questions and follows through with experimental imagery and a final act that felt like a 2001 Space Odyssey.
Oh yeah, I read too. The reason he chose to do the shoot by the 4:3 format was to give the sense that the ghost was boxed in, kind of like how he is that whole time. He's really like
Well, there you go.
sit
I'm
that one
right.
part. So there's some really nice directing choices in this movie.
Yeah, I
And then you have 4-minute monologues that trail off like Joaquin Phoenix's Oscar speech.
yeah. I mean, I do.
No, credit to Joaquin. He did bring it back at the end, but
I-
you're kind of left wondering what the fuck, man.
I
Yeah,
mean, at least it was for a good thing.
It was, yeah.
I think
But this movie
Yeah.
is definitely below because he had me with Beethoven. Like, oh, they remember that you leave your mark on history. You eventually remember it and so forth. And then he goes off with the apocalypse happens, the aliens take over, society breaks down. You're just
Yeah.
thinking, dude, what are you smoking? Can I have some?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it was just it's a great movie in my opinion. I do see flaws with it, but for me, like my personal taste always go to like, you know, I love gritty movies, but I also love movies that ask really serious questions. Because at the end of the day, we are creators, we are artists, and our job is to make art that has something to say. Yes, don't get me wrong, I love a good, like, you know, stupid action movie. They're fun to watch, but they don't tell you anything. I like walking away from a movie that makes you question a lot of things.
Debatable. Great action movies
There can be great action movies.
volumes.
I guess I should be more specific with that. I mean more like, you know, the run-of-the-mill superhero movie. Not like The Dark Knight, but something like Ant-Man. Ant-Man's not asking you any questions. And don't get me wrong, I love it, but there's nothing deep about those movies. But they can still be made well.
Okay, yeah, this movie asks questions, but then you mentioned the whole boxed in feeling, so yeah, kind of hard to feel boxed in when he's jumping off a skyscraper and when he's time traveling to 200 years in the past.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So kind of an inconsistency.
I mean, I think the point of being boxed in is he's in different locations, but it's in the same spot in the planet the entire time.
Oh, of course, yeah, but the scope of it,
Yeah.
the visual scope of the movie, you figure to be some consistency there.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a perfect movie by any means.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this.
I know it sounds like I'm
this is
praising it like it's, you know, the Holy Grail movies.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't doubt you got problems with it. I'm just saying this is very much a personal taste movie. You're gonna watch 5 minutes of this film. No, actually, you're gonna watch up until the title card comes up, and you're gonna wonder if you want to keep watching this movie.
I'll say this for anyone that goes and watches this movie after listening to this: if you can make it past the pie scene, then I think you'll end up liking it. But if you can't get through that pie scene, then it's probably not for you.
Man, of all the internet challenges out there, why isn't there a Ghost Story pie?
I don't know. We need to make that. Start flooding Instagram and make it a challenge.
All right, watch the pie scene from Ghost Story and see if you want to keep watching this or not.
But
Jesus.
Yeah, I enjoy. I really like this movie, and the more that I think about it, the more I want to watch it and all of that.
Yeah.
But I just
honestly, I think I'm gonna watch it probably later because now I want to watch it again after talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna watch this movie again.
Yeah.
I admire it more than I only admire it. I admire it like a museum display, but the difference is
you appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, but the difference is I'd rather see a museum display again.
I get that.
Because when movies get this what the fuck kind of levels, it kind of turns me off at the thought of watching them again, unless it's something I'm really into, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. That felt like my brand of experimentation because it paid off. It innovated the film industry. It innovated cinematic sci-fi. This movie, it's just another A24 art house experiment.
Well, let's be real too. David Lowery is not Stanley Kubrick. So that's literally like comparing, in terms of directors, that's like comparing Michael Bay to Martin Scorsese. Now, it's just totally different worlds.
Well, of course, I'm well aware of that. Just again, I'm going back to it's a personal taste movie. It's gonna you're gonna watch it for a couple minutes, maybe a couple seconds, and you're gonna wonder if it's for you or not. Unlike some movies that are just instantly for people.
Yeah, those kind of movies don't come around too often, but when they do, they're awesome.
His house gets torn down. Okay, I did like the part where the house gets torn down.
Oh, the part with that other ghost broke my heart.
Oh yeah, the other ghost was
I think we went this whole time without mentioning that ghost, did we?
Yeah, I don't think we've brought it up.
You mentioned it once.
Yeah,
and we
okay.
never talked about it
Let's
again.
talk about that ghost before we stop talking about this movie, because that is the most depressing character I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
He's up there.
Yeah,
I
there's
think-
one part
I
where he thinks he hears his partner in life, whoever it was they were waiting for, and he goes, "I thought you were." Oh, never mind. I never knew subtitles in a bedsheet could be so heartbreaking.
I was gonna say it's kind of funny how the bedsheet ghosts have their own language.
Yeah,
Ghostinese.
that's definitely an
It's
experimental part right
telepathic.
there.
It's telepathic.
It's telepathic. Ghosts have telepathy. Sure, as much as they have time traveling
That's what it
abilities.
said. That's what it said. In-
My mom just wrote by it. It was stupid. That was kind of funny.
I think that
So that's a 0.5 star out of 5 from my mother.
I
But anyways,
I do think that I think the other ghost is really important to the movie itself, because it shows
Sure.
the when you first deny the access to the light, it's because you're waiting for something, or you're something hasn't happened yet. And I think when they tear both of the houses down, and the other ghost says,
Mhm.
I don't think they're coming, and then I think the other ghost says, I don't know, one of them fucking says, I don't think they're coming,
the neighbor ghost.
and then it just
The neighbor ghost.
turns down, and it just turns into a sheet.
Yep.
And then I think
Props to the special effects department, at least, because they did all, again, low budget. You can do everything in camera or use editing tricks. When they tear down the house, the staging of that, and when the ghosts disappear, those are very cool effects.
Yeah,
I have to
I
admit.
actually read, because I do research on almost every movie I see, but I read that the reason they chose that house is because it was scheduled to be demolished. So, and it fit in their budget. It was extremely cheap. So they just decided, oh, we'll just go with this. And then they basically told the demo crew, hey, can we have cameras going by the way and have this guy in a bed sheet when you guys tear it down? And they're just like, okay. So it's an interesting little thing right there. That's called being resourceful.
Yeah, I think
Tell them you're student filmmakers.
I think the aspect of the ghost, like kind of accepting its fate, I think that made that very clear at the end of the movie, when he finally turns into just nothing, when he accepts his fate and he goes, once he reads the letter. I don't know.
Yeah, he pieces out Obi-Wan Kenobi style.
Do we ever know what's written on the thing?
Actually, I
Nope.
believe I think I saw what was written on it.
Well,
Basically,
I
to
couldn't.
sum it up, I don't remember word for word, but it essentially said, like, I'm keeping you here with this house because this house is what you treasured. So, essentially, I guess what I got from it, and I'm still haven't fully processed it the right way, well, what she did by doing that was, you cared about this house more than me, and that's why he stuck around all those years. But once he was spit with the whole card truth, that's when he decided to go.
I didn't take that that wasn't at all how I took that.
I took it as I didn't see shit and he disappeared.
Yeah,
I'm just like, okay,
Also,
fine.
the note was it was like the size of a fortune, like in a fortune cookie. So I don't know how she
I
could
think
have
it was written on a fortune cookie.
Yeah, it was like,
Ripped out of a diary page.
but like it was. I wouldn't. If that's how you're taking taking it, then that's on you. But yeah, I didn't see that at all. I don't know what it said, but that definitely feels more negative than positive. I mean, I don't think she's mad at him anymore because he's been dead, but I think, I think something, I don't know. I don't think it's, if it is that, and that is the reason why, then I'm going to like this significantly less.
I'd say this ending of the movie is confusing. That's just like an interpretation I got, but
And
things also will change as time goes on.
Now, what you just read, is that concrete?
No, that's why I said I'm not even sure if that's the real reason. That's just the best I could find from doing a little research. But the movie is not
because
clear at all on the end.
no ambiguity rules here.
Yeah.
And something like that would definitely be way out of touch.
I would like to. I tried to find an interview with the director about that scene, and he's just one of those guys where he pretty much refused to answer it. So it's whatever you think.
I found what he said about it, and he was talking to a Hollywood Reporter, and he says, "None of us know what it said. I looked at the footage, and you can't see it." And Rooney says she doesn't remember. I'm sure she knows and isn't going to say. And Casey has no idea what the sheet he could barely see through. Laughs Lowry. But it doesn't matter. It could be something completely goofy. We always joke that it just said boo.
Where'd you find that interview at, man?
I just looked up fucking Note, a ghost story, and it was the very first thing, Hollywood Reporter.
And, that does answer one question. Casey Affleck was under the bedsheet the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, there's an interview with him on like Jimmy Kimmel. He confirms he was under the bedsheet.
Yeah.
You figure they would get a body double or a mime or something.
I mean, if they only had $100,000 to play with, man, he must have not charged that much to be in this movie.
It could have been much because they weren't on screen for very long.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it'd be interesting to see how long. We know I know he's in the sheet at least for a majority of the movie, but it'd be interesting to see how much screen time him and her face actually have in the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I don't think I got much.
I said everything I wanted to say.
Yeah, me too.
Music's melancholy. It's a very trippy experience. I wanted to hug something afterwards. I wanted to feel good afterwards.
Yeah. I will let you know.
This movie put me into good.
I just bought an
this movie
A24 hat. Just now.
What?
I just bought an A24 hat.
Just like as we're speaking, you just bought an A24 hat.
Yep.
Lit.
Yeah.
I wanted one. They had a
fucking hipsters.
Had a midsummer
hipster
one.
filmmakers.
Yeah, exactly. They had a midsummer one that was like super like embroidered with like flowers and stuff, but that sold out super quick.
What about an Uncut Gems neon colored A24 hat?
No, none of that.
They should.
This one's white and it has and the logo is like colorful, and then on the back it says it looks to be like corduroy, but on the back it says A24 Films LLC. So but
now we're talking about corduroy and hats. Let's get on to ratings.
Let's get into ratings.
I'll lead us off here. A Ghost Story is 2.5 demolished houses out of 5.
Jeez.
I can appreciate a lot of qualities in this movie, but again, it's personal preference. It's art house experimentation. A lot of things I question more than I get immersed in, and I don't see myself revisiting anytime soon. But I wish good on people that get enjoyment out of it.
I'm giving it 4 Casey Afflecks out of 5. I really enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying it more talking about it. I think that the only problem for me is it tends to drag on in some scenes.
It does,
and especially with very little dialogue, it gets kind of. I have severe ADHD, so like I'm like, Jesus Christ, let's get the fucking ball moving. But I can still appreciate this, and I still thoroughly enjoy it. I would give it 4 Casey Afflecks out of 5.
Yeah, I'm Chase. I think I'm pretty close with you. I absolutely love this movie. I know it's not for everyone. It's just my personal taste. I did have issues like we've all discussed over and over. There's shots that do just drag too long, and the ending is a little confusing, and I'm sure it's meant to be that way. But I feel like the movie was great. I just feel like the ending was it didn't end quite how I would have liked it to. But it's not my movie. But overall, I loved it. It's visual storytelling. That's one reason I became a filmmaker, is to tell stories visually, and there just happens to be dialogue most of the time.
Well, you say that's interesting. You say it's not your movie, but you're also the guy watching it, so you should get something out of it.
I mean, that's true. It's one of those movies to me where a lot of stuff is left to interpretation.
Mm,
Because of nothing is straight up said in this movie. Because pretty much nothing is said actually
Yeah.
at all. So yeah.
yeah, even the pie flavors up to interpretation.
Yeah, so overall though, I still loved it. I'll probably revisit it pretty soon. That'll probably be my third time watching it. Just to see if I can get any more solid ideas from it. So I'm debating between 4 and 4.5, but I think as of right now, I'm gonna stick with I'm gonna give it 4 pecan pies out of 5.
Oh, it's pecan pie. Okay,
I think it was. I have to go back and see.
it looked like that was
I
blackberry or
thought,
something.
yeah, I thought it doesn't. It was pie, and it was
You know, Matt,
too
it made
fucking
me hungry.
It was pie. Too fucking long.
I just wish I was the one eating the pie, to be honest.
No, I might have to go
Yeah.
to, it's starting to be, it's, fall is in fucking 2 days, boys. So that means
Wow.
pumpkin pie and pecan pie season.
Chase, we got to have pie at our next editing session.
I'll probably have some. I'm thinking about going. Costco has some great pumpkin pies. So.
I think I'm about to head to a bakery too to get something. Not gonna lie.
I know.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I think once we got to that pie scene, I just said, no wonder my college friends love this shit.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can see how people would absolutely love this movie. Like, I absolutely can see that. But I can also see like
Yeah.
Nick, I can see how you'd be like, this is super not for me. Like,
And
Yeah, I mean, I am a casual. I would consider myself a casual filmmaker, but I could still go in depth. You guys have
yeah,
seen from
Yeah.
experience.
yeah, I think.
But there's a line. There's a line I draw.
Yeah.
Where it just gets too weird.
I think this movie's biggest weakness is for the average audience. It's too boring. I think that's its biggest weakness.
Yeah, it's art house experimental
But
filmmaking.
I don't think it was made for the average audience.
No.
So I think it was made for other creatives, just people who want to experience something. But like you said about Nick, I totally understand that. It's just not your personal preference, and that's fine.
Yeah, I just want to go watch a John Woo movie after this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I need to watch something fucking not like this. I need.
Not
I have a movie marathon to do after this one.
Ironically enough, I put on fucking Danny Phantom.
Yes.
Danny Phantom's on Hulu now for people who have Hulu. Danny.
Oh my god, yes.
But I put on Danny Phantom, and it was funny because it was literally right after I had finished Ghost Story.
Yeah,
it's like exciting.
After this, I'm gonna
amazing.
go watch Lord of the Rings. So I got a catch up to do.
Yeah, I still got movies borrowed from friends. I gotta watch Bullet in the Head by John Woo. So there you go.
Yeah, but okay, but I think that about wraps us up, boys.
Yeah,
that about covers it. Joe, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I had a lot of fun doing this today, and if you ever want me to come back, be happy to. This was great. Talking movies, bullshitting. It's what I love.
Yeah,
we'd love to have you back.
Why don't you
also Chase?
Why don't you let us know where we can find you on
where can we find you?
You can find me.
Where can we stay up to date on the movie that we're making?
Oh, well, to everyone that wants to know that, pretty soon here, I'm going to make a dedicated YouTube channel where I'll produce content for it, but also make updates for the film, Tears of Love and Death. But in the meantime, until that's done, you can follow me on Instagram, where very soon I will be posting a lot of updates. We'll be making an update video here soon. My Instagram is at 206 Cinema, so it's 206 and then Cinema. No spaces or underscores or anything. And you can also go there and find links to my old student films I made before I've ventured into a straight-up short film. And you can almost see my progression from high school to now on there. So it's a little bit of a Joe Mason history on there. So
those early years, they matter.
They matter a lot. Okay, to any young filmmaker who's still in high school or just deciding they want to make movies, the advice I'll give you right now is it's really what Nike said. Go do it. Get yourself a camera. Get your friends together. Go make films. And even if they're not good, that first film that you're gonna make, that $5 movie, is gonna lead to a $100 movie, which is gonna lead to a $1,000 movie, and so on and so on. And you're just gonna get better and better. So that's a tip I'd like to give young filmmakers out there.
That's right. Yeah, just don't let your dreams be dreams, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, do it.
Yesterday.
But yeah,
Oh my god.
so you guys can find us. Make sure you're following and everything. You can find us on Spotify, on Apple, on Amazon podcasts, and we're also on Podbean, Google Play. Like we're on YouTube. Just make sure you're following. Just do yourself a favor. Make sure you're following because you want to be up to date. I mean, after this week, we're diving into our horror film October, our spook horror
Yes.
films. So each week we're going to be putting out a video, and that's the most we've done in a while. So please make sure you're watching it so that we don't just waste our fucking time, Nick.
Excuse me.
I don't know why. I don't know why I shouted Nick out, but still,
Fucking calling me out, bro.
make sure
Give me your address.
make sure
Let's make something of it.
make sure you're following. Make sure you're subscribed. Whatever. Just interact with our Instagram at Reviews from the West, and just come talk to us. We'd love to talk to you. We had questions last week. We're going to be doing a shitload of questions next month because of Halloween and Spooktober. My birthday is in October.
Oh yeah.
So it's a really exciting month for me. Yeah, just let us know. Come find us. Come chat with us. Please send us stuff. Victor's not here, but that's okay because I'm stealing his job.
He's with
Yeah,
us.
I'd love to
yeah.
get on an
He's with
episode
us
with
this
Victor and
year.
hear some of his opinions too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll definitely have you back on, Joe.
Perfect. You guys rock.
You heard it here first, folks. So we will catch you in the next episode. Yeah, pretty much it. See ya.